Types of qualitative research explained clearly. When students get to chapter 3, the methodology, one area that often causes confusion is choosing the right type of qualitative research design. Many students simply pick a method like case study or interviews without fully understanding what it means or when it should be used. But in qualitative research, your design is very important because it determines how you collect data, how you analyze it, and how you interpret your findings. So in this session, I'll walk you through the main types of qualitative research and, more importantly, explain what each one is really about and when you should use it. Let's start. The first one is a phenomenological research or phenomenology. This type of research focuses on understanding people's lived experiences. In other words, you are trying to explore how individuals experience a particular situation and how they make sense of it. For example, you might study the experience of first-year university students adjusting to campus life, or you might study the experience of teachers using online learning platforms. The goal here is not to measure or compare, but to deeply understand personal experiences and perceptions. So if your research is centered around feelings, perceptions, and lived experiences, then phenomenology is appropriate. The second type of qualitative research is case study. The case study approach focuses on an in-depth investigation of a single case or a small number of cases. And what is a case? A case could be one school, one organization, one program, or even one individual. The aim here is to explore that case in detail within its real-life context. For example, you might be studying how one university implements a new teaching method, or you can examine how a specific company manages employee performance. Case studies are useful when you want a deep, detailed understanding of a specific situation rather than generalizing across many cases. 3. Ethnographic research. Another important type of qualitative research is ethnography. Ethnographic research focuses on studying people within their natural, social, or cultural environment. So here, the researcher often spends time observing and interacting with participants in their real-life setting. For example, the researcher might be studying classroom behavior by spending time in a school, or the researcher might be observing workplace culture within an organization. The goal of ethnography is to understand patterns of behavior, beliefs, and interactions within a group. So if your research involves culture, social behavior, or group dynamics, ethnography is a strong choice. Next is grounded theory, which is slightly different from the others. Instead of starting with a theory, grounded theory aims to develop a new theory based on the data you collect. So you collect data, analyze it, identify patterns, and gradually build a theory from those patterns. For example, you might study how students adapt to online learning and through your findings develop a new explanation or model of adaptation. This approach is very useful when there is limited existing theory or if you want to generate new insights or frameworks. So grounded theory is about building theory from the ground up. Finally, we have narrative research. This type of qualitative approach focuses on people's stories and personal accounts. So here the researcher collects detailed stories from individuals and then analyzes how those stories are structured and what they reveal. For example, a student's journey through higher education, a teacher's experience over their career. The goal here is to understand how people construct meaning through their stories over time. And this approach is particularly useful when you want to explore individual life experiences in a detailed story-based format. So there you have it. When you are choosing a qualitative research design, don't just pick a name because it is fancy. Understand what it actually involves. If your focus is on lived experiences, then phenomenology is suitable. If you want an in-depth analysis of a specific case, then go for a case study. If you are studying culture or group behavior, ethnography is appropriate. If your goal is to develop a new theory, then grounded theory is the best fit. And if you are working with personal stories, then narrative research is ideal. Once you understand these differences, choosing the right design for your qualitative study becomes much clearer, and your methodology becomes much stronger. All the best. I'll see you in the next one.